But basically, what he knew Night of the Living Dead, and he said, I have a book that I'd really like you to work on, and he gave me a copy of it, and it was The Stand. He gave me a copy of The Stand and signed it, "Let's make this movie." I still have that, the copy of that book. Of course, we never got to make it. But I called him back. Again, I told you it's a long story. Warner Brothers blew off Salem's Lot eventually and made it for television. Steve was pissed at that because he said, "I'll never do TV." Even though eventually he did The Stand for TV. And actually remade The Shining for TV. But he wrote me when Salem's Lot blew up, and he said, "I'll tell you what, did you used to like EC Comics?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Let's do something like that." So I went back to him with an idea. I wanted to do 5 movies, 5 little films, one in black and white, one in widescreen, one in 3D. You know, I had these aspirations to do all these 50s style movie formats. And he said, "No, let's stick with the comic books." And he said, "I'll tell you what, I'll have a script within 2 weeks." And a couple of those stories were already published. But damn, I didn't get a script within 2 weeks, and it was the Creepshow script, and we hardly changed the word of it. It's basically the script that we shot. So that's the long tail. He actually came in he came in to appear in a movie I made called Night Riders, and he gave me the script when he came in. I told you it was a long story.
Okay, right here.
You know, I've been scolded for putting out too much information about this. The Marvel guys just, in fact, yesterday on the telephone said, "You're putting out too much information about this." I said, "I haven't given anything away as far as the story." And they said, "Yeah, but you're telling about release dates and stuff like that." So they want to put out a press release on it. They want to control the press release. I think it's everybody maybe by now knows I'm writing a series of comics for Marvel. And you know, the rest you'll have to hear from them as soon as they put out the release. So, yeah.
First, I want to thank you for literally lifetime memories, good time with friends and family. And my students don't care when they talk about biology or chemistry, but I can talk zombie with them.
Okay. Well, that's biological. That's not.
You're doing zombie autopsy, you're planning on doing zombie autopsy.
Yes, yeah.
That's done in an interesting format. It's a journalistic style, or written as a journal. And we've seen fans of World War Z, they completely changed the tone or how the story was told.
Right.
Are you planning on doing anything unusual with the format? Are you doing more fictional narrative with the movie?
Yes, I'm doing, with the author's permission and approval, and he has approved the script that I wrote. It's much more of a narrative. It's not World War Z. The question is about a book called The Zombie Autopsies, a novel called The Zombie Autopsies, which my partner and I bought the rights to, and we're good friends with the author, a guy named Steve Schlossman, who occasionally appears at gigs like this, and a great guy. And he wrote a novel called The Zombie Autopsies, and it's very clinical, medically correct. I think, so Steve tells me, that it's medically accurate as much as possible. In this, he explains everything about zombies, why they walk the way they do. He prefers slow zombies, thankfully. and
Most do.
You know, as the guy said in the first movie, they're dead. They're all messed up. You know, they can't run. Anyway, we're changing it, and as I say, Steve is on board 100%. We're doing it much more as a narrative. The book is written as a series of notes in a journal by a doctor that's off in some remote place, sort of like The Thing from Another World, you know, except it's not in the Arctic, it's in the tropics. And the book is a series of notes that he's writing. And we had to make it a narrative. I mean, there was no way to just do it as an oral history. I think what happened with World War Z, Max called it an oral history of the zombie apocalypse or something like that. And I think they could have done that. They could have certainly gone to more places, gone to more cities. They chose to focus on 3. And when I first saw it, I was really disappointed, mainly because I know Max and I really liked the book. And then I went to see Man of Steel, and World War Z started to look pretty good.
Right there.
Can you tell me about your relationship with Edgar Wright and the whole Shaun of the Dead? Like how you got your hands on it, and then you had Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and Shaun of the Dead?
Well, we just have, the question, for those of you in the back, is about Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost. And we've become good friends over the last few years. When they made Shaun of the Dead, and when Universal bought it to distribute, they actually called me up and found my number. I was living in Florida at the time, and they called me in Florida and said, "We'd really like you to take a look at this. Please don't shoot us, you know, and don't think badly of it. We did it with, you know, all fondness in our heart." They sent a print, and some cat from Universal, man, came carrying a print of Shaun of the Dead, handcuffed to his wrist. And in this little tiny theater, you know, in Sanibel, Florida, the only theater on the island, cheesy projector, you know, and unbelievable. And the guy from Universal